All right, we are back with part 2 of our coverage of Phillip's explanation of his horrible game in season 9 Nexus main event. You were saying so much good stuff during the break, but the first thing I want to know is, what do you think of the intro and the DBN show? You saw the old school and now you see the new school. What do you think?
I like it. I also like that you guys are part of the DBN community. I've always thought that if the diplomacy community can just unite on like one channel and like make really good messaging, I thought that was cool. And I like how you guys still maintain your unique brand for what you guys do. And so I love it. When I saw you guys do that, I was like, oh, good for them. I was really pleased. And I also love the map on the background. Like, I think that's fun.
And the money is amazing, right, Keith?
Yeah.
The pennies.
Amazing.
We haven't even got the pennies yet. But we've been promised equity in DBN.
Right.
And their millions. Okay, look. You wanted to say something about spring 1905, about Cedric.
Yeah, I overlooked. Cedric had confided. This isn't that other moment of marriage counseling where Cedric confided in me here whether he should work with France and Russia against Germany. And I had advised him against it because my selfish argument, as we discussed before in the last episode, was that if the EG is still the present threat and it's going to be Cedric winning, I am more necessary to stop him. And if France collapses, there's no other option. But also, like, he will win. Like, my thought was, if you eat France, you're fine. Like, that's all you really need. Eat France, hold the line, don't screw up. Like, and so from my perspective, I thought that he was in a good spot because Darcy was having to focus so much effort on Russia, which was containing his biggest rival, that then his only other alternative rival was Turkey. And as long as I stay alive, we should be good, which eventually gets into but I also thought that I was working with Russia.
So you caused Cedric to win.
I think so. Sometimes. Obviously it's his own like, he made everything happen. It was his game. But I loved this diplomatic role I got to continue to play, whether it even actually mattered. Like, Darcy could have decided on his own he wasn't going to stab Cedric, and Cedric could have decided on his own that he wasn't going to stab Darcy, which, as you pointed out, it turns out that he did like a gentle stab with Russia, but like, what can you do? Like, again, it was his game to win and he won it, and I'm really pleased for him. So yeah, Follow 5 exists. Oh, I think that we lost it.
How do you feel about losing Serbia again?
You know, there was actually a moment that I thought it was going to be beautiful, that I had managed to get an army back into Serbia and like another unit back into Greece. And I was like, I kind of loved the beauty that Russia supported me back into Serbia and Turkey supported me back into Greece. And I was really excited for that diplomatic win. I thought that was going to be so much fun. I was disappointed by the reality that wasn't going to be how it played out.
Yeah, it did not play out at all.
No, who would have thought, right?
Oh my goodness! And so you retreat to East here. Is that just to put pressure on Turkey? Like,
not even retreating to East. I had gone here because with Tim we'd agreed that we should go there, and so I covered Ionian with those two, and then the plan. I had actually pushed really hard with Tim here, and this is one of those 2020 things that I was really trying to push him to get him into Bulgaria here. Because I was like, I don't want you eating the Serbia dot and losing the center. I want to get you somewhere else. Why don't we get you into Bulgaria? That is the momentum that we need. And if we can get Turkey to lose the center, then we can start to make moves and I can get another unit going against the West. And so there was a lot going on here that, in retrospect, I should have realized that if he wasn't interested in the spot, why should he be? So it was.
Tim at this point had said that he should have stuck with you because he had assumed that Cedric was on his side, and so
Well, I'm biased, but yes.
I think you guys had a good position still again to push forward.
I do too. I think at this point I had even offered him all of Turkey. Like I was like, take everything that borders the Black Sea, take Smyrna. As long as you take it with an army, I don't care. Give me Greece, and then we'll try to renegotiate for Venice and Vienna, or for Vienna and Budapest. But I needed to get some sort of position, and I was even flexible on Vienna and Budapest depending on how the success in the West went. So I was really sold in trying to get us a long-term strategy here because I was so fixated on Cedric's win, and that was like, and I think that it's not entirely fair for me to do this in retrospect because obviously I know Cedric was the biggest problem at the time, but obviously there were many moments where I thought that Tim was the issue, and I needed to address him and to get him contained and all that kind of shenanigans. But if we want to move forward, I don't think I had any build. Oh, I did have a build. Sorry, I had a disband, and I just rebuilt an army in Venice because, like I said before in the previous episode, once the stab happened and I realized that the best thing for me was just to make sure that Cedric won, that I needed to make sure that I held out against Turkey as long as possible and made sure that Russia couldn't get the chance to have Venice, because if they could get Venice, that would be the number that they needed in order to try to win the game.
So now that you're demoralized for the second time, what are your conversations with the RT like? Are you having any conversations with them? Are you pitching anything?
I was pretty pissed. I think here I had sent a begrudging message to Russia saying congratulations on second place, and I told Turkey that Russia's only chance to win is to eat you, and so don't be surprised when he starts taking your centers. And then, or no, I told him, I said, please pretend to be shocked for the sake of the camera or something like that. Like I was like wildly outraged. Like I was, because like at this point I felt confused. I was like, why is nobody worried about Cedric? Like there is literally no one to stop him. And I'm not sure if Tim ever built in St. Petersburg the entire game.
No.
So for me, that was the whole shtick, is I felt that there was a clear threat and the rest of the board just didn't care. And maybe that was my own mistake, is I should have just said, I don't know. Actually, no, because I still would have done this. So I don't know what to do. Like, it was not my game to win if Cedric was going to get everyone to agree that he should win that from like 2 or something like that. So
keep it Ed. Let's record.
Is Ed joining us on the phone?
Yeah, Ed's on the phone. His internet collapsed.
I'm gonna pull a really niche, silly reference. Do you guys remember the coup attempt against Erdogan, where he had to like FaceTime into the news to be like he hasn't been captured? This is giving me the same energy. If you don't know it, look it up. For any of the audience who knows it, I hope you had a good laugh, because that was hilarious for me.
haven't seen it.
It's back. It's back.
All right, I'll see
you
you
in a second.
All right. he's getting FOMO. He's missing out.
I hope so. And he's now going to look back at the recording and see how fun I was, and how actually the greatest tea I dropped was just in the last 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Keith, anything you think that he missed? Otherwise, we can start plowing through.
No, I was just asking you how you felt about those two. It's just been a bizarre love triangle.
Did you continue the interview without me?
Yes, we did.
Okay, good. I don't know if it actually recorded or not. It should, but
it's saying it's still recording.
All right.
The show goes on, Ed. We were ready to go.
The show goes on. All right, thank God. All right, let's go. Let's go.
Tim loves Cedric, and Cedric loves you, and then you were still trying to be with Russia, and it was just not working out.
No, it was looking at Tim's interview. For all the frustrations that Tim had of Cedric, I thought was incredible irony. Yeah. And it was really funny. You are absolutely right. It just felt like a giant love triangle watching his interview. And it was incredible because, yeah, it was funny to watch. It made me laugh.
And then
Keith,
we go
it's
to
your show.
06.
You ask what you want. I'm at, here. I'll even show you, Keith.
What's that?
The old king is dead. Long live the king.
You can ask your question. Yeah.
Just keeping things moving.
Yeah. So spring 06, I'm like, all right, let's just make sure Cedric wins. I guess on these moves, I'm glad it worked out. Just trying to get position to shore up the defenses, both for Venice and for Naples.
Now, at this point, do you know that they have a coin flip agreement?
No, I didn't know until Cedric was upset about it and told me about it. And that was another one of those, like, I don't know, I don't care, because objectively, of the two coin flip experiences that I've heard of, the one that happened with Turkey in the semis and this one, they lie every time. So who cares? Like because literally, wasn't Tim just saying in that his plan was that if Turkey won, that he was just going to stab him anyway? So
Right.
like, my brain is like, it's just a stab by another name. You're just hoping that the coin gives you justification. Like, I don't know. Like, I also just, again, have negative opinions about throwing generally. So whatever. Sorry, I don't mean to be so melancholy and resigned about it, but that's just kind of my position.
You invite Germany down to Tyrolia. He offers to help you here.
Yes. Because again, I was on the EG train, and so I was like, we need to make sure that Russia can't make more gains. You guys need to get him down up north, and then I can try to help you guys down here in the south, but I need an army. Cedric was kind enough to help me facilitate that. Darcy said, yeah, sure, sounds like fun. Let's see what happens, and it worked out.
So you're saying Darcy right now thinks that Denmark was militia support, so that's why he's still on side?
I think so. I don't know. I can't remember if I asked Darcy about it. That's how Cedric sold it to me. And I said, well, Cedric, you need to go apologize to him and like explain the situation and hope he believes you, because I guarantee to you that Russia and Turkey are going to say that it was malicious, because if that's how they want to play it, that's what they're going to say. And so, or not malicious. They were going to say that it was an intentional stab. So I was like, if you want to win Darcy back, you've got to turn up the charm and go talk to him. Don't talk to me. So that's kind of how I felt. I don't think I ever wrote to Darcy about it, though. Unfortunate. Sorry for him.
All right.
This is fun.
So at this point, is this militia support? I put this as militia support of pulling Bulgaria into Serbia, or was this planned?
No, it was planned. I didn't love it, but Cedric and Darcy both asked me to do it because they thought they were flipping Turkey. And so there's a couple of instances of this where Turkey lying gets them to do stuff, and you can see it cascade. And so this was the first attempt. I was like, guys, I don't think this is really a good idea, but sure. And so, because like at this point, I'm like, my game was decided by you. I either am going to like, I didn't care. And so I was pretty open to whatever they really wanted me to do here. And so then I did that. And then I talked to Russia about it, and Russia was like, yeah, no, I told Turkey to do that. And so I was like, all right, well, you guys want to draw, I think now's a good time, because I think that Cedric should have the centers needed for the win. Like, what do we need to do to lock this in for him? Like, what are we doing, guys? Like, because if we're not playing to actually move the game forward, I was pretty resigned about it, to be frank. Like, I felt that nobody else had enthusiasm to win or try to stop the leader at this point, and despite him being a clear contender with no clear opposition.
I think that's objectively correct. You didn't know about the coin flip thing, but I mean, I don't think that anyone knew about it at this point other than R&T.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about Fleet on here?
I mean, it makes sense.
The point? Yeah.
I wasn't like, oh no. Damn. I didn't try asking him to do it on Kara a second time. You can imagine that I figured how that would go. Sorry, I'm very boring for your second half of the interview. For me, the rest of the game was like being like, oh, right, I am still playing, aren't I? Which is really sad, because I think I did spend a lot of the end game chatting with Cedric, and just like, because he wanted someone to bounce ideas off of, and I was objectively the easiest person to do it. So I would like write him a few times, but then sometimes I'd be like, look, man, you got to make your own call here. Like, I'm rooting for your success. It's a 50-50. But overall, though, yeah. And then this is where it is. I think
Well, yeah, you invite him to Tunis in the fall. I think. Is this an invitation?
Kind of. I didn't love it, and at the last minute, I was telling him let's just bounce because I don't think that he's going to Naples. I know that Cedric had told me the moves to do here. I was like, I kind of trust you and what you want to do because they're coin flips. I think that I had made the pitch to destroy the fleet in Albania. I could be wrong, but I think that I was more focused on Venice, and we kind of leaned on him for his recommendations for what to do in Ionian. I think I was more eager to try to put a unit behind the line and like, what is it called? A raider or something and try to disrupt Turkey's opportunity to advance whenever possible. But it didn't work out that way.
This is all mixed up. You have units everywhere now.
I do. I don't think that. Obviously the fleets were a mistake. I think that if I was hindsight, it probably would have been smarter to either bounce Smyrna or try to just hold Ionian. But I think that at the time, I was expecting that Constantinople would go to Aegean. And so I was expecting to bounce it there, and I didn't. But, I don't know. It's all hindsight, being like, oh, maybe I could have played better. Like, maybe I wouldn't have picked Italy. Like, who would have thought?
Now, I think Cedric had promised Turkey Tunis, but the bounce didn't happen.
Yeah, this was a fun turn for me only because I had the opportunity to write "I told you so," because here Cedric, this is where Darcy was fixating on he can get 3 builds if everyone just agrees to let him, and so the Cedric thought that he was getting Russia to flip on, or at least this is what Cedric said. That Cedric thought he was getting Russia to flip on Turkey. Darcy thought that he was getting Turkey to flip on Russia. And so all we needed to do was just kind of let it happen. So I had told them both emphatically and loudly that is not going to happen because their goal is to break one of your alliances. And I have been on the receiving end of this relationship for this entire game. It's not going to work out that way. And then at the last minute, I was telling Cedric that I wanted to bounce him in Tunis. He said no, and I was like, whatever. What am I going to do? Tell him no. So that's kind of how it played out.
Do you think Cedric made a good play stabbing here, or do you think that was a mistake?
Well, he won. So, and he also managed to get Darcy back on side after the stab. So it was the right call, clearly.
Had Darcy had not taken it well and the throne happened, he would have lost the game here, though. And
I don't think that's necessarily true. I think that Cedric could still, unless he just managed to have, because you have to remember that he was still interested at this point, as far as I know, to get third at least. So
right.
He's still trying to find that, right area. And so he's probably thinking, if I can stay at 4 centers, Phil's going to go down to 3 centers. And then if Russia is interested in winning, he's going to try to eat Turkey. So I should get third. To me, that's what his logic was, is that he thought if I can just hold my 4 and Cedric can get those centers from somewhere else, like France, then I should win. Or I should get third, which for him was his win condition.
Are you still taunting the RT here? Why aren't you drawing? You're not going to win?
No, I may be petty, but I'm not childish. I was not talking to them, and I think it was the best my mental health was the entire game. I will tell, again, the break was bad or I don't know if I said this, the break was bad for me. When it was follow 5 or something like that, I was having so much more fun outside of the game than in the game. And I kind of felt relieved to not have to stress about this. I had other real life stuff going on because at some point the layoffs did happen. So you can imagine that there was some shenanigans in my real life that were going on.
But you were safe from the layoffs.
I was safe from the layoffs, which is a whole different conversation. But I'm thankful that I survived.
You survived the game too. So
yeah, who would have thought? I also, in real life, I also felt like I survived on 3 centers.
Okay. Go to 08 with France France, Janissary.
Me and Rob we were in our little pity corner down here. I loved the fact that I got to be like, Rob, can you support me in Venice? And he went, absolutely, sounds fun. Like, I think, and then Tim had a moment where I think that he says in the commentary that he would have won had he gotten Rob's support.
Next season.
Yeah, but I don't think Rob was ever going to do it because we started having a lot of conversations about like who we wanted to have win the game. We didn't agree, but we agreed that neither of us should lose for them to win. So we agreed that we'd want to try to work with each other and have a little bit of fun. And so, like for Piedmont, I was like, would you mind supporting the hold, please? That'd be nice. And then for Tyrolia, I think that what happened is that the game adjudicated, and maybe an hour and a half later, we both went, oh shit, it adjudicated. Sorry. It adjudicated. Who would have thought? And after we did that, I think like maybe 5 minutes later, I said, hey, do you want to go to Tyrolia? I'm not sure if it's a smart idea, but kind of sounds fun. And it made sense tactically because if I could get a friendly unit in Tyrolia that shores up the defense of Venice, but also at the same time, I kind of liked the idea of doing it.
And Rob didn't know he was getting eliminated. He thought he
we were both kind of, I was excited to have a chance to work with him. I was like, this is going to be so much fun. Had I been undermining the idea of him surviving the entire game? Yes. But did I have fun, the idea of working with him and having fun? Yeah, of course.
But if you can trust the coin flip and throw idea that was happening, which I think was, if Rob supports Tim into Venice because he doesn't want Cedric to win, Tim may win, Keith. It was a lot closer than I think we thought it was.
He would have won because it's on 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Venice is 15. They've been close.
I mean, I know you're thinking, I mean, I hear you that he shouldn't have banked on Rob, but if he really wanted to punish Cedric, I mean, he could have done it.
By taking Venice, then he would have easily gotten Rome and Naples because Apulia is there. He just needed Rob to support him one time.
Yeah, I think I didn't appreciate at the time the prospect of Apulia. But also, I agree. I think it was closer than you'd expect, but I think that but it's one of those things where it's like tactically, yes, but like sandboxing for hours doesn't get you but France and Italy have been having a pity corner together since like 2003. So
France is moving in.
Yeah. I was so close to being like, do you want Rome? Like, because like I thought it would be kind of fun. Like,
I mean, ultimately Rob liked you more than he hated Cedric. Yeah. And that was the game.
Well, I mean, since we are on a part 2, you are going to get some diplomacy philosophy from me where I think that it doesn't matter that a player falls, it matters how they fall. And so the fact that when Rob was collapsing, he was still willing, despite everything with Cedric, to want to survive and want to work with him and be willing to work with him because he didn't hate Cedric, he hated Darcy. And that's the relationship that gave Cedric the opening to eliminate him. Or at least from my perspective. And so, like, example being, like, if I was annoyed with Cedric, I would have turned around and hit him, but instead I spent my time dedicated to trying to hold the East down as much as possible.
The game was functionally over. Who was vetoing the draws at this point? Because even Tim was
Cedric. I think Cedric was interested in having the top record. I don't know if that's true. He would have denied it, but that was my suspicion. Like, I thought it was one of those, like, it was either him doing it or it was Tim trying to give himself the time for the throw coordination. So my ultimate theory that I really that I settled on was that it was Cedric.
Tim said he vetoed it once because he knew he had the coin flip. Cedric, I know, turned it down after this because he thought he had a top tour solo. And I know Darcy said he did it once in channel because he forgot after France was eliminated to change his draw settings. So it was a combination.
You weren't going to throw Cedric. I don't think Cedric could have gotten a solo, but you weren't going to give him, like, say here, Rome or anything, right? Did he ask?
No, he does later. We'll get to it, but the short answer is I hate throwing. Like, I think had it been the prospect of Tim winning, I would have tried to encourage Cedric to give me a good reason to give him Naples. But just giving him Rome outright for him to win, like, I'm not sure I would have been comfortable doing that. Like, Cedric does eventually ask me to throw him the solo, and it's a whole conversation. But
All right, well, let's go to that when we get to it here. I imagine it's pretty close.
Francis gone.
I do want to take a moment. We rushed past this, but in winter 08, all of my units got exactly where they started. And that to me is beautiful. Like, there is no world where that didn't make me smile. And so then from here forward, my goal for the end of the game was for them to end where they started. And so you'll see that it's not hard. All I have to do is go forward and back. But it really did tickle me awfully. I thought it was hilarious. But yeah, so in spring, I think it's consistent. Like, our goal was to deny them Venice, hold on to Naples as much as possible.
I think this is a good pop because I think I would have probably moved Naples. And
yeah, I think
that would have been disastrous.
I was so objective, just like, knock it out, don't overthink it, just whack. Like, I didn't think that, because I figured that Tim had made the same calculation I did, that Venice mattered a lot. So he was going to prioritize position over tapping. So my thought was one of these should get the trick. So just go for it.
Yeah, worked out well.
All right.
And then again, my units managed to I hold the position. This is where you can see that Tim and I started talking again after this, because I was like, thank you for not taking Venice. I appreciate that. And he noted that he wanted me to be at a higher position than Darcy would be at the end of the game. So he was like, just hold on. And I was like, sure.
The only question is whether Cedric solos at this point in 1910. So clearly there's some conversation was had.
Yeah, it happens around the time that we're putting in orders for this. Cedric asks me to throw him the solo. I tell him no. He tells me he can sleep on, or I should sleep on it. And I said, I don't need to sleep on it. The answer is still no. And then we get into this whole thing. He complains about coin flipping and how he wants to punish them. And I said, it would punish me to do this. That's stupid. I'm not doing it. So I have supported myself back to Rome to make sure that I would be safe.
So we know he vetoed the draw, Keith. There's no question that.
No question.
Yeah. And I appreciate that he went for the solo. That was the only way he could have got it, was with consent.
He even made a poll to try to pressure Phillip and say, should he throw to him?
No,
I did vote no, and I noticed that Phillip had also voted no, and I was like, well, if he's voting no, who cares what everyone else thinks?
So Cedric started that poll because he said, okay, you don't have to do it, but I want to make Tim sweat. So let's do a poll. And I was like, I'm not real. Like, he was trying to get me to be excited about it. I was not very interested. I was like, I don't even want to entertain the prospect that I would be willing to do a throw. Like, it riles me up. I really don't love it. Like, any time that you get put into a situation where that's what you're talking about, I'm not into it. Like, he'd already won the game. What more does he want? What more should he want?
So
Wow.
He wanted a solo. I can't blame him, but
Yeah, hubris comes for us all. Unfortunately, he still got the win though. So
yeah, we're not going to cry out a lot of tears for Cedric.
No, I'll resist the urge.
All right, here the game's over, and Cedric doesn't even try for Rome.
Nope.
No, he was kind. He told me, he was like, "Damn, I shot my shot. What can you do?" Anyway, like, I'll make sure that you hold on here. And I was still a little anxious, so you can see all my units were holding on to each other, being like, "Let's hope that we don't get screwed over here."
Final thoughts. Cedric a deserving winner, Phillip?
Yes. No one, literally not a single person attacked him the entire game. Like, to organize it to where every single one of your neighbors, and it's even reinforced in Tim's interview, that, like, he was objectively a huge threat. He had soloed his semis. He is a well-experienced, well-versed player whose charm is known, and nobody seemed to care. Like, I was impressed and horrified when I saw that in the preliminaries, and the fact that a top board still fell for the same thing really blew my mind.
We only needed two people not to care for a little bit. Darcy for a while, and then Tim for a little bit, and that's what he got.
Yep, and that's all he needed.
He just couldn't do anything about it. But don't you think you could have soloed your semifinals?
Yeah, but I didn't want to.
Yeah.
I remember I liked the players I was with. So I put in the draw. I think that if I recall correctly, the France in that game was also interested in trying to win. And I just went ahead and I put in the draw once it was clear I was going to win and there was no way for me not to win. And I was really comfortable with the board falling as it did from there. I'm very apathetic with these kinds of things. And for me, I was happy to win the board. Solos are nice, but I'm not craving that. It's not something that I'm looking to do. And honestly, I will say the semi board was probably one of the most fun boards I've had in a while. I don't remember his name, but I want to shout out both the players that were Italy and Russia. I had so much fun with them. I enjoyed them, and I still hope they're doing well.
Who won your other season?
Ewok, Greg, I think his name is.
Yeah, Greg was Russia. Yeah. Okay, so who is more deserving, Greg to win that game or Cedric to win this game?
I think it's hard to deny how dominant Cedric's position is here, but I think that the board was more competitive for Greg. So it's I feel like that his was objectively harder to get and he still got it.
What do you attribute the lack of that we didn't have the same just because a lot of newer players or different player styles or what?
It's a good question. I don't follow it enough. I knew that a lot of them were new players. I think that ultimately the way I felt is that I felt like not enough people were interested in trying to win the game. It was a lot of people focused on just survival full stop and not how do I win this game. And I thought that was kind of disappointing. But I'm also biased because I was your chances to not win the game were to help me get to Cedric. So, I mean, you know what I mean? I'm biased, obviously, but I think that not enough people were interested in actually trying to win the game. And I think that another example was how Tim put his bets on a throw from Turkey to win and felt gypped whenever he lost the charm race against Darcy for Darcy to Cedric.
Yeah,
fair enough.
And
anything else you want to say that you haven't been able to say about the game?
I wanted to talk a little bit about the AI rumor at the start. I don't know if Tim and Cedric were lying, but they were warned by other players before the game started to be watch out for this AI, watch out for Phil, and that really bothers me to my core. Objectively, a huge part of my early game was just trying to walk back that I was promising an AI because I played in a preliminary game with a person who's also on the final board.
It was it was very awkward that he picked Austria so far up.
Yeah, and that's on him. I mean, I picked first in the last one, and I went down to make sure I could get Austria. It's up to people's options. I hear you, but having other people there was I'm just gonna call out the name. I think it was Josh who had specifically called it out, and then to also be a commentator, which gives it additional weight, and then also being able to go onto the commentary and say, oh yeah, I think there's going to be an AI. And it's different whenever he also confides in a personal way and not just in an observation. And it really bothered me because I think that I was playing and especially watching Tim's interview, it felt to me like I was playing from the back foot to convince everyone that I wasn't doing an AI right from the start. I felt like that I lacked diplomatic options, and I would be curious if Tim and Cedric had said something similar to Turkey to convince him not to work with me. So I didn't love it.
It's hard to work with Turkey when you go to the Aegean and for no tunas. I mean, let's not forget actual history.
No, but actual history is also that I got no conversations from him. So for me, there was no love lost there. Is that if I'm not getting any conversation from you anyway, and everyone else is saying that they're not getting anything from you, but that's clearly not true because Tim is saying that he had a really chummy relationship at the start. To me, there was a little frustrating. Like, me and Austria confided in each other a lot about how frustrated we were by it. But I think that Austria was like, well, I mean, if they want us to do it, why don't we do it? And I went, I really want to be an independent man and try to shoot for my options here. So it was something that bothered me. As like a genuine note, I just hope that other players let each board play out the way they do and allow players the agency to enjoy themselves, whether you didn't make the board or not. Like, I think that everyone should have the opportunity to play a game however they want to play it and not be prescribed how they should or shouldn't play by players who don't have the commentary or anything like that. It bothered me a bit, and I do want to say that.
Okay.
I feel like
Sorry, I don't know if that's a fun thing to say. It's not exactly in my brand to be like, I'm kind of pissed and disappointed by this part of the community, but
I feel like every season that we've covered, the commentary has done very little to influence, except for when Jordan tries to spin it the way he wants. But
yeah,
this season, it seems like everyone's like, the commentary screwed my game.
Yeah, like I don't like, especially when I played on the last one, I loved the commentary. I thought it was fun. I thought that it was an interesting perspective. And then I think it was less about the commentary. Like, I think that it, like, for whatever reason in this season, I had been hit by it hard in two different directions. And so I felt
you're not
like,
the only one to say that. You're not the only one to say that. It is interesting that we don't actually think we have any power. And in the games that I've played, the commentary, it was always sort of blown off. So I just figure everyone blew us off too. It's like, they don't know half of what's going on.
I have bad news. Your voice matters. People listen to you, Ed. Deal with that responsibility as you will. Yeah, those are my immediate thoughts. I don't know if you guys have any other additional questions. I'm happy to be there. Again, I'm really sorry that I'm ending on a sour note. I really wanted to start the game with explaining that frustration because I think it also explains why I was more susceptible to want a wintergreen, is that I thought it opened up my diplomatic options by convincing everyone else that I was more open and available rather than being locked up. In pre-game canoodling of all things. I'm a charming guy. I like to make sure that I can have a fun time on any board. I don't have to message you before and ask you to want to work with me.
I don't buy into this pregame stuff. I know people do it, but I never pregame. Like, I just don't engage with people before the game. I don't like it. And I don't think it helps because the board is always different, and like whatever you come up with, it's never going to work.
Yeah, I don't mind like pleasantries, like being like, hi, how are you? I hope you're having a good day. Like, I exist. Let's be friends on Discord. But like, I don't know. I agree with you. I think that pregame stuff is it's non-existent.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. Phillip, thank you very much for being on the show. Thank you for your honest interview. I don't think you can be anything but honest except on a diplomacy board. But I thought your interviews were great. My only regret is that your parents gave you 2 L's in Phillip because it's very confusing for me. But other than that, it was charming, and I hope you come back and play more.
Honored by the invitation. As we discussed in my interview, who knows, maybe it'll take another 4 years, just like the Olympics. But I appreciate you, and I will say I performed better this time placement-wise. I think last one was 5th, this one is 4th. So climbing up, got to watch out.
All right, brother. Thank you. Good night, guys.
Thanks, sir.